Welcome back to the channel. This week, as we said at the end of the last video I did, we're going to be making a glass flower. Now I don't know if you've ever seen anybody making glass flowers, watched any videos, but these are two of the people that I've watched. They're really interesting. The way they do things is a little bit different to what I do, mainly because I can't get a lot of the stuff in Australia that they can get in North America. So I have to adapt, and this week the flower we're going to make is just a basic 2 pieces of glassware. One is this little dish and the other one is this candle holder. And all we've got to do really is stick them together, put them on a stem and pop it in your garden. But I'm going to go one step further. I'm actually going to make it so that you can put it in a pot and have it in the house or under the patio, because I think it's, you know, sometimes things get lost when in the garden, you don't get to look at them. I've already done one, and because of the shape of these, to me it resembled a daffodil. So we're going to make a daffodil today. Okay, so there's a lot of elements to this. You can see over to the right here I've got my painting sheet. Most of the outdoor flowers just go on a steel rod, it's hollow through, and they do them quite tall. What I did, I bought some ready to do some more. I just buy it by the metre. So you could just use one pole. Make sure it's secured in the ground, and the best way to do that is actually, if you've got an angle grinder, just cut a piece off at a 45-degree angle, so you've actually got a point here. Makes it easier to get in, and make sure you go far enough down into the ground for it to be sturdy. I do mine in pots, so that fits into the pot, and then I just have a piece of PVC pipe. So that's the pot, there's the soil level, and that sits over the top. Only thing with that is it stands out, doesn't look like a flower stem, hence the painting sheet. So the first thing I need to do with this is, I've got an elbow, and on this elbow I put a milk bottle top, and that needs to be glued down, and then that flat gets glued to the back of the dish. Then that sits on top of the post like that, and then you just pop it over. You can put them out in the garden, and if you've got a storm coming up, all you've got to do is just lift this off. You can leave the steel piece out in the garden, lift off your PVC and find somewhere under shelter to keep it safe. So that's one way of standing your flowers up. The other way is, and this wouldn't work with larger dishes, I had a teaspoon, just a normal teaspoon. I hammered the spoon part flat, as you can see, and then I put a bend in it, and the bend is there so that when it pops into there it won't go all the way down. And then you glue your flower to the back of the spoon. You could do it that way, but then that gets in the way, so it won't sit flat. So do it that way, put the hook on it, and then you've got a good surface area for your glue. So the first thing we want to do is I'm going to glue these together, and then I'm going to spray paint them. So make sure you've got everything set up before you start. I'm working from here, across here, to stuff I've got on the table to the left of me that is actually out of camera. But it will all be coming over as each section gets done. So let's get on with the gluing and painting. Now the glue I'm using for the lid is called Weld Bond. It's non-toxic glue, and it binds just about, or bonds just about anything. I think what I might do is just put it around the rim and the inside of the bottle top. I don't know if you can see that. That's it now on. When you're painting, don't paint that bit. That bit needs to stay clear so you can glue it to that. If you use the paint, it could slip off. And then we're going to do the other end and pop it around the post. So what I might do is put it around the edge of the post. Okay, so they are now ready to be sprayed. I'm going to pop it on that brick. Actually, I might put another brick behind there. If it gets windy, I don't want that flapping and hitting the post. So I've got two other half bricks here. That's for another bit that comes up later. That also involves spray paint. Now I'm going to try and do this without covering myself in it, and of course I wear white when I'm going to paint. Okay, we'll just let that one dry. Let that side dry and then roll it over and we'll dry the other side. In the meantime, what we'll do is we will join these together. Okay, the first thing we need to do with the dishes is make sure that they're nice and clean. I use isopropyl alcohol. Don't need a lot of it, just a little bit. I've got an old white face washer, flannel, whatever you want to call it. Mainly because if I use a coloured one, I don't know if the dye is going to come out. And we want to make sure that each of the dishes are clean so that the glue will actually stick. Just put a bit on there and give that a really good clean on the back. Now being cut crystal, you've got all the grooves and they're all going to have to be filled with glue to make sure you've got a really good solid grip. Then I'm going to do the inside. A bit more. And do the base. Oops, that's still got the price on it. That was $3. I think I paid $4 for the dish, so $7 has given us the two items to make our flower. I'll actually put a price list up of what all the bits cost me, the PVC pipe, the elbow, the steel pipe. Should have taken that off earlier. That one was really stuck down well. They don't normally stick that well to glass, but that one has. Must have been there for a very long time. Alright, so give it a good clean. That makes sure that gets all that glue residue off the sticker as well. I can still see. It's very, I don't know if you can see that, but it looks very cloudy. Actually looks like it's got some candle wax still inside it. Maybe that's what I'm seeing and it's not the glue. I'm going to spray it directly onto the glass, I think. That's better. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now, what we need, I've just got a cream cheese lid. And we've got the epoxy. It comes in a handy little dispenser. So all I do is take the cap off. It's very messy because I've used it previously. I've already made one of these. Press that down, scoot it back. Clean that off a bit. Put the cover back on. That stops the ends drying out. Now I've got sticky fingers. So the first thing you've got to do is mix your epoxy, the two elements together. And then on the bottom of the candle holder, all around the edge, put a nice thick layer. And school behind me is now letting out. You can hear kids crying. So we might have to stop for a while. Make sure you've got your candle holder right in the centre of the dish. Now you have to leave that 24 hours, it'll definitely be nice and secure. But you will be able to work with it in about 3 hours, but you wouldn't be able to hang it up. There's the school siren. Okay, now what I could do is I could make myself some stamens now to sit inside there, and all that would be is using some wire and some little beads. I did bring some out, and these would be different to the ones I did in the first one. So I'm still trying to decide, should I have different ones or should I do the same? Okay, here we are. It's actually Saturday now. I did start this project yesterday on Friday. There are a lot of elements to it, so yeah, it takes time to get stuff done, and really what I should have done was each thing, like the gluing, I ended up with a lot of the epoxy just now wasted. So when you're doing a project, and it's just because I'm doing a video of this and I haven't thought about it, if I was just doing it and not teaching, I would have got all the components together that would need epoxy. So this job would have been done way down the track, because the first thing I needed to do was get the stem painted, and I also needed to make some leaves, get those painted on both sides and dried. While each side was drying, then I could have gone on to another section. So I'm going to spray the stem now on the other side and get that one done, and then I'll show you how to do the leaves, get them down and sprayed so that that side will dry hopefully quickly enough for me to turn it over. It's now 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon. Luckily the sun is setting later, so I've still got a good 3 hours to get this done in, and you're not going to have to sit and watch for 3 hours, I promise you. I will be speeding a lot of the sections up. So anyway, here we go. Let's get this stem painted and then we'll get on to doing the leaves. Now I'm actually putting that over 2 bricks, because as soon as I put it down on one, it tilts and flips over. So I've put it on 2 bricks now to get the other side done. Nice thick coat. I've actually gone and sprayed the cap, which I didn't want to do, but because it's on PVC pipe, it will peel off quite easily. Alright, so that's that bit done. Now for the leaves. I've printed those off on an A4 sheet so that I could make the leaf long enough to fit the stem. Otherwise, if I'd have just done a normal A4 size, that would have been a little bit short and probably would have looked a bit silly. So now I'm just going to find the scissors. I'm just going to cut one for now. Okay, there was a bit there that wasn't straight. Okay. Alright, so we join the 2 pieces together with a bit of sticky tape. On one side, flip it over and join the other side to it. And then on the sheet of cardboard, if I have got my pencil somewhere, I'm sure I brought one out. That's typical. Looks like I brought everything but a pencil. Right. Luckily I actually cleaned over and put my corner over there, and I've now got a pot that's got pencils and chalk and all the things I need for projects. So I'm just going to cut out a cardboard template. Whoops. Can't even trace a line. It'd be useless as a freehand. Okay, I'm doing it on cardboard because cardboard is stronger for using as a guide for drawing out your leaf shape. If you use paper, it tends to get ratty very quickly. I'm going to have to invest in a bin, I think, for out here to throw all my bits in that I'm not keeping. Okay, so there's your template. Now, this is the fun stuff. This is aluminium flashing. You get it from the hardware store. It's very flexible, easy to work with. And what I use, let's see if I can do it that way to show you. To draw around this, instead of using a pencil, I've actually got a crochet hook, just a very fine crochet hook. And I'm using the back end of it, not the hooks on that side, I'm using the back end. And that way it's just something that's nice and smooth, it's not sharp, it's going to cut. I don't want it to cut just in case I do make a mistake. So I just use the back end of that, work around my leaf template. I don't know if you can actually see it, but down the bottom there now, if I can zoom in when I'm editing, I'll zoom in. But it just gives you a fine line that you can follow. So I'm going to need 4 of these. So I won't talk in this bit, I'm just going to draw the shapes and then I can speed it up for you. Okay, so there's the 4 all drawn out on the aluminium. But before I start cutting, I'm going to heat up my glue gun because the wind's actually been blowing my drop sheet and it's flopping over. I've actually put some bulldog clips on, hoping it will hold, but this is so light that once I've cut the single leaf out, I put it down there and spray and the wind picks it up, but it's just going to blow anyway. So what I'm going to do is just put a drop of hot glue to pop this onto. It will peel off later when I've finished. So get that heated up while I'm cutting these out. It's just a shame I couldn't fit all 4 on one piece. Just not quite wide enough. Okay, so there's your 4 leaves. Now I should have mentioned before I started, you've got to be very careful with this stuff because it is sharp. It will cut you. Got a little sliver there that would stick into you like a splinter. So now that I've done those, and as in nature, not everything is perfectly symmetrical. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. If you don't get them dead right, it doesn't matter. Now, to protect ourselves, just a little sanding block, just do a quick on the edges. So I can run my finger on that now, and it's blunt, it's not cutting me. I don't recommend you running your finger on it anyway, but that's just to show you that I can now do that. If I did it that side, I'd be bleeding. There's quite a sliver there. I think the easiest thing to do with something like that is to cut it off, and then you can sand it back. Still a ridge. Okay, so that's all the 4 leaves done, and now what we're going to do is a bit of hot glue on that brick. Ouch! Be careful because it is hot. And you feel the heat through the aluminium. Hopefully that's enough to stop it blowing away if it gets windy. Spray the leaves. Okay, so we'll let that one dry and then we'll turn it over and we'll do the same bit of hot glue. Okay, so the next thing is also a lot of cutting out to be done, because what we're going to do is do some decoupage on the pot that it's going to go into. Now also in the pot, in the bottom, if you put dirt in there, that hole's really big and the dirt's just going to fall straight out. So what I do, I have a roll of fly screen wire, and I just use it for craft bits. So small square, and off the corners. And then I've got some more rubbish for that rubbish bin I need to get. So that'll sit in the bottom. I do that with all my pots rather than put stones in. I find that, I don't know, the stones tend to clump together, that the sand gets in between and then the water's not draining as well. Where with that, it's still got the big hole free and the water will drain through the fly screen. So, doing the decoupage, we need PVA glue. It's actually, it says PVA wood glue, but you can use it for anything. It works on any craft. Pot to pour it into, and a big brush. Now, before we do anything, we need to cut out our pictures that are going on there. I've done daffodils because, like I said, this flower, it just, to me, it says daffodil. It just looks like a daffodil. So this is another time-consuming job, which I am not going to video the whole thing for you. I will cut them all out, and then once that's done we'll come back to video the rest, because I don't even know how many I need to fit right around this pot. Okay, so I will be back. Okay, while I was cutting out the daffodils, the leaves have dried, and I've got a problem. So is the hot glue. Lesson learned, don't hot glue the leaves to bricks. Because now I'm going to have to get the chisel out and try and prise it away without damaging the leaves. So that definitely was not one of my better ideas. There's not a lot there. That's it. But it's well and truly stuck to the brick. As I'm pulling it, it's actually pulling the brick off, not just the glue. I don't know how else I can get that off. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to end up tearing the leaf if I'm not careful. Nearly there. It's a good job I sanded down the edges, isn't it? Otherwise I'll be cutting my fingers to pieces. There we go. Alright. I've bent the leaf a little bit in the middle, so I think that is a case of stuffed up. We won't do that again. But seeing as this is just for me, for my patio, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to worry too much about it. So anyway, I'll do this bit later. I just want to get on with the pot and show you what's next. At least then we can get the pot done, get the sand in and get the flour put on, and then I can do the leaves later on when I've got a bit more time. So I've turned the pole over a couple of times. Some areas haven't got paint on them, so I've now fixed that. The whole thing is painted all over, including the top that sits to the dish. So that's going to have to come off. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with our pot is tip some glue into here. And we're going to need a fair bit because we're going to have to do quite a few coats of glue. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to try and do it so you can actually see what I'm doing. What I might do is bring one of the cameras around behind me because I can't see what I'm doing, even though you might be able to. I need to see. So I'll bring the tablet around because that'll do a close-up. I can work on the back and you'll be able to see from the tablet what I'm doing, and then I can see what I'm doing too, which will make my life a lot easier. Okay, so that's better. Now I can see where I've missed. So we're putting a really generous coat. This actually seals your pot as well on the outside, makes it more waterproof. Okay, oops. Biggest problem with these cheap paintbrushes is it loses bristles and they get stuck on your project. Okay, so what I'll do is I've cut out 4 of the large daffodils and 4 of the small ones. So pop one on. Make sure it's nice and straight, so no creases in it. I need to bring that down a little bit. Okay, so there's one. We'll do one on the opposite side here. There was a crack in here. I've filled it with that Weld Bond. Remember I was using that Weld Bond paint? Weld Bond glue. I've done it on the outside and I've done it on the inside, so it's sealed it. Now it really doesn't matter in this case because I'm not putting plants in the plant pot. But if you were going to make something like this as a gift for somebody and you wanted to put some plants in, then you'd have to make sure that your pot was whole. Not with a hole, but whole. If I was to put this one out in the garden, I could put some daffodil bulbs in so that every spring I'd have some daffodils pop up. But I don't think they would work under the patio, so. You'll also see I've got the daffodils facing different ways. I just mirrored them when I put them into the PowerPoint. No specific reason for it, I just thought it'd be a bit different. To have some facing one way and some facing the other. Make sure you get the creases out. There's a couple in there. Okay, and then we'll put one in between those two. That's facing that way, that's facing that way. Okay. That worked out well considering it wasn't actually planned. hope there's something going on at the school today as well, because I noticed the gate was open, or one side of the gates was open. And I heard something that sounded like water earlier, so whether they're working on the retic over there, ready for summer, I don't know. But at least there's no machinery, so that's one good thing. We don't have to put up with that racket. Okay, so there's your pot with the daffodils all around it. We'll let that dry for now. And what I'm going to show you while we're waiting for that is I can make some stamens and show you how to make the stamens for in the centre of your dish. And what I've got there is, let me move that, oops, over there, out of the way a bit. Oh, this pot, it's got all pearls and all sorts of interesting little things in it. Now, I think that's the size I need. No, wrong one, that one. So I've got these beads. They're only tiny, if you can see it from there. But they make perfect stamens. So I'll get some wire now. Before I do that, what I do need to grab is this. And my little pliers. Okay, and then I can heat up the glue gun again. Because what we're going to do is fill that whole bottom where the candle actually sits. We're going to fill that with glue, and that's where the stamens are going to sit. In the meantime, cut a piece of wire. Thread it through the hole in the bead. Now this is the tricky part. If you squeeze too tight, you actually break the little point where the hole has been made in the bead. So be very careful doing this bit, otherwise you'll break your bead. I'm just trying to get one small bend in it. Don't know if you can see that. I've got the bead on the top, made the hook and put a little bend in there. And then we use the florist's tape. I should have cleaned all the glue off my fingers first, I think, because everything's sticking to my fingers now. And we go round and round and round. Unfortunately, the florist tape only comes in green or white. It would have been nice if it came in yellow, but it doesn't matter. Tear a piece off. And then pop it in the bit of polystyrene while you're waiting. Okay. Now I've just heard something beep. I've got a feeling the battery's just died in my main camera. So let me go and see. Glue everywhere. Okay, so we need the stamens making for inside. They're going to sit inside the bit where the candle normally goes. I'm going to fill that with hot glue. But you need to get your stamens ready first, because once they go into the hot glue, you've got to hold them together until the glue dries. Otherwise they're just going to go and fall over. Alright, so we've got the thinnest of the wires that I usually use. I don't know what gauge it is, but it's thin enough to go through the hole that's at the end of my little crystal bead. I have to be very careful with these. I did try it. I've got some the same as this but smaller down the bottom. I tried those, and as soon as I bent the wire, the end of the bead popped off. So it was too thick for the smaller bead. Now something you could do, I don't have any yellow paint, which would have been handy. I could have just used normal beads, like little small wooden ones, put a blob of glue on it, and then just sprayed the bead and the wire yellow. And they would have stood out nicely inside there. But unfortunately we've got to use florist tape, and florist tape only comes in green or white. And I thought the green would look nicer, it will stand out a bit more than the white would. And it will match the green and the leaves and the stem. So all I'm doing is just wrapping that around, rolling the wire, keeping it as tight as possible. I don't know if you can actually see me rolling it. I'm not sure what the tablet's actually picking up. Until I go to edit it. But what doesn't work this time? I'll be making more of these glass flowers. I'm going out on Tuesday. Actually, by the time you're seeing this video, I'll have already been up shopping to get more dishes. So I'm going to look for some more colours in dishes instead of just the clear crystal. Okay, so there's your stamens done. Hot glue gun turned on, and I've got a funny feeling the battery of that has done. Oh no, it's still got power, so let's turn it on. Yeah, that's alright. Okay, pop those back together again so I don't lose them. Don't need the pliers or the scissors. Don't need any of that wire anymore. Don't need that. Put the chisel away until I get around to doing something with those leaves. I might just do a whole new set of leaves. If I don't get them finished today, I can do a bit tomorrow. I'm just going to wait for that to warm up now. So while we're waiting, let's see what do we need to cut some down. Are they far too tall? So that one's a bit tall. The others are quite short. So what I might do is bring them down a bit. I'm going to get my pliers. They don't have to be exactly the same length, but you don't want them overly tall. Just let it go in when the glue's hot. It's looking pretty good. So what I'm doing is I'm actually filling, I don't know if that you can see it in there, I'm filling the whole bit where the candle goes, and I've just run out of glue stick. Let me see if I can push it through with a pencil. No, that doesn't work. that might be enough in there. I've got a fair bit in. Put one in there. See what I mean about them falling over? So now what I need to do is pick them up. So the reason I only do 6, so I'm not having to use too many fingers to hold them in place. It doesn't take long for the hot glue to dry out. It's just that there is quite a lot of it in the bottom there, so it takes a little bit longer than normal. And my florist tape's come undone on one of the stamens. That's okay. Not looking too bad. I've just got these two here at the moment that are falling. The others are just about holding their own. This last one's really been stubborn. I think it's still falling just a little bit. I think that's got it. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to disturb those. What we're going to do now, I don't know if you can see on here, this daffodil hasn't actually stuck at the bottom. So we're going to have to give it a little bit more glue underneath there. But I only want to put a little bit, because I don't want to get it all over me again. Out of the way, and what we can do now is go around and give this another complete coat of glue. Now I'm doing the rim as well, just so that it's even thickness all the way around the pot. Okay, so there's another coat of glue. I think I might put one more coat over it when this is dry, and then after that, once the next coat is dry, I'm just going to spray it with the clear gloss to completely protect it. Just in case, you know, I might be watering around in the pots and water might splash. I just want to protect it to make sure the daffodils don't fall off the pot. So, can't do anything now until I've done the leaves. So, I'm going to stop here for a while. I'm going to pause you, and I'll get some more leaves cut out with one coat of paint on, and then you can see what happens with the next coat of paint and building it all together. Okay, so I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon. So the glue is now dry on the pot. Pop it up that way. I have put some gloss spray on there. I didn't need to. I just had some glue left over and I didn't want to waste it, so I threw it in there. Pop my bit of fly screen in. So the first thing we're going to do is, the leaves are now spray painted on both sides and they've had a coat of the clear protector. And we need to now stick those to this post. And this is the bit that gets a bit tricky. I would try and balance it there. I might turn it that way so you can see better what I'm doing. And instead of using the epoxy, as I've said, yeah, a lot of it's wasted. All of this should have been ready. Get everything prepared before you start doing any gluing. Because now I'm just going to chuck that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the leaves on with the weld bond and see if that works. It's easy to work with this as well, coming out of the tube. And what you need to do is put your leaf on and just bend it slightly around the post so you've got a decent length. So I've gone from there to there. That way you've got all of that will sit on the post. Because once the wind gets this, it will flop. And as you can see, it doesn't take much to bend it. So now that we've done one, we know where to bend the rest to. So that one, bend it to there on both sides, just so it fits snug around your post. Onto there. Oops, so this one to there, pop that round there, and okay, there's your leaves done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pop some glue in there, spread it around. What I want to do, I want to end up with this face up so I can glue the glass dishes to it. So I'm going to put that one on first. Squeeze the glue out the sides if you can. So just that little bit of extra weight, twist it over. That's why I've got the two bricks there, make life a bit easier to balance it. So now I'm going to do the same on this one. And I'll stop talking so we can speed it up. Roll over and hold those in. Nope, they won't hold in place. So I'm going to have to cheat a bit here. So put some glue on that one. 2, 3. Hold those in place. 1, 2, and number 4 in there. Okay, so they're all in place, and what we're now going to do is get our wire, and we're just going to wrap the wire quite tightly around those leaves, working your way up the pole a bit, just so they stay in place. That's not working because I've let the wire go. Alright, so there they go. Pull it as tight as you can. So I've got it a bit crisscrossed so it holds in place. Your leaves are all quite snug at the moment, but they can be moved out later. Now what I need to do is pop that there. And I think about, it's not going to work. And now I do need the epoxy because I don't know if that, I haven't tried that yet with dishes. Maybe I will. Let's see. Now this has been out for a couple of days and been messed with, I'm just going to give it another quick clean down. Now unfortunately that epoxy hasn't dried clear. It says on it dries clear, but it's actually dried yellow. I don't know why. But doesn't matter because it's only for me in my garden, so I can live with that. If I was making this as a gift for somebody, I'd be upset that it's actually done that. I'll put the glue on the end of here. Spread it to the edge. And this is where we have the problem of it now. I think what I might have to do that's the lower one, isn't it? Is put it, and that's not going to work either, is it? That's not going to work. And it takes a while for this glue to dry, which means I could be stuck here for ages holding it. Trying to think what I did with that one. How did I do remember putting it between two bricks. I just don't remember. Can't be those bricks because they're too high. Okay, so I've upended it. pop that inside this small pot so it doesn't damage the stamens. That'll hold that in position. 3 bricks high is the right height for that to sit. And now I'm going to epoxy it because I really don't know that Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll pop that all over there. Sit it down in the centre and pop it on the bricks for support. Now I don't know if that's actually just a little bit, maybe a pop stick underneath it, or lift it just that little bit more. And that's it. Now just got to wait for that to dry. And what I did, if you're going to plant plants in with your flower, then I suggest a different mix. But what I've done is I've mixed just sand out of my garden, so it's half and half with sand and potting mix. If you're going to be putting it out in the garden, it will probably be, I'd say, use more potting mix than sand. The sand for me, it's more for weight in the patio. As it gets quite windy under here and I don't want them blowing over. So I've popped some in. Press it down and pop your pipe in. Press your sand around it. And finish topping it up. If you're not going to be putting any plants in it, I would suggest adding some water. At this point, get it wet and tamp it right down hard if you're in a windy area, and that way it won't move. Fill it up to the top. Okay, so now we've just got to wait for the epoxy to dry on there, the leaves to be dried, and we'll be ready to pop her on there. And then I'll show you what we do to finish it off. Right, everything is now dry. Our glass is a bit of, you get some of the strands from the hot glue gone. That's got rid of those. So your glass is already attached now to your pipe. All our leaves are in place. We can now take the wire off. pop her, whoops, ouch, over the pipe. Now I don't know if you can see this, but I'll rotate it slowly. There's all marks on the stem. I don't know whether that's from me messing with it on the bricks, or whether I've had birds overnight coming and pecking at it, walking on it. I don't know. But what I can do if I really need to, if I was going to sell this, I would cover this with a cloth and just give all this another spray of green. But because it's only staying here at my place, it doesn't matter. Now, open your leaves up a little bit so they look more natural. These ones are actually a bit shorter than the other one I made, and I think it looks better having the shorter ones. Whoa! The glue on that didn't stick to, that's still wet. Hi, just popping in here. All sorts of dramas. I started this project on Friday and it is now 10 to 5, Wednesday, late afternoon. There have been nothing but dramas the whole way through. The first one I did, everything went smoothly. I don't know what I did differently this time. Whether it's because I was filming it and I was trying to put all the elements out there for you to see how it's done. I've actually got it sitting in a pot at the moment. It's been there now for 20 minutes and it's still in one piece. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, because what happened was the glue inside the bottle top, the weld bond, hadn't stuck and it was still quite wet. So I used super glue on that, fixed it with the super glue, that dried, that held. Put it back into the pot and the glass dish fell off again, and it was the Loctite epoxy that I'd used. I'm going to have to go back to using the Tarzan's grip epoxy, and I think what's happening is when I'm squeezing to get the epoxy out, I haven't got even pressure. So the yellow side is coming out a lot more than the white, and that's why it's drying yellow instead of clear. And yes, I'm gonna have another go at that and see. Anyway, I've done that today, this morning. I got out there early this morning and started on it, and I left it all day. It's now sitting there, and fingers crossed, I'm giving it another half an hour, and if it doesn't fall over, I will show you the final product as I move it from my protected space to its actual final home. Okay, so I will be back. Just bear with me. I'm sorry this video is so long. Thank you for sticking with it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see me or hear me or anything. There's something going on at the school. We're going to try and move the daffodil from over here to over here. Keep your fingers crossed. If you're still with me, thank you for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. So here we go. I'm holding on to the dish so it doesn't fall. Find the hole in my pot, because I actually took the metal pole out as well, so it has something to sit on. And now I can't get it back in. So here we go. Very carefully popping it on. Probably see a bit of light. I've actually got a deck light underneath. Because it's under the patio, it's lighting up already. So anyway, there we go. There's the daffodil. She's still hanging in there. I'm hoping now that everything's right. I've used all the right glues, and I don't know if you can see the other one over here has got the taller leaves. Anyway, that's it for this one. I am going to be making more after my op shop trip yesterday. I've got a lot more of the coloured glass, so I will attempt to do another flower for you on another date. Okay, so next Wednesday we're going to be refurbishing these. This is a lantern that was given to me as a gift quite a few years ago, and this is something that I found in the op shop, and I want to give them a new lease of life. Okay, so again, thank you for being here, and I will see you next Wednesday in a new video, and fingers crossed we have no bloopers. Bye for now.